All right. What's going on, everybody on YouTube? Griffin here, coming back to you guys with another live stream, another Sunday Stock Talk from the Millennial Motivation Entrepreneur YouTube channel. First and foremost, before we get going, if you're new and tuning in for the first time, we'd love to have you here for future streams. We do these every single Sunday, and we usually do at least one video in the middle of the week, sometime between Tuesday and Thursday, just like a market update. And then if I have time throughout the week, I try to do a informative teaching type of video for you newer traders and whatnot. So if you're into that kind of thing, like I said, we'd love to have you here for future streams. Definitely consider hitting that subscribe button below. Hit the bell icon right beside it. That way you'll be notified every time we go live or upload another video. Before we get going, I just want to make sure that my stream quality and everything is doing all right. Haven't had any issues in about a week or two now, but I know from time to time we can have an issue. So I just always like to be safe. And of course, if there are any issues during the stream, definitely just let me know in the chat as you guys start to file in, and I'll try to remind you guys here in a minute because I know we're just getting up and going. But with that, we'll just go ahead and start diving into the market. So had a pretty decent day Friday, of course. Not too bad of a week after, what was it, Monday to, I forget what days we dropped exactly, but we had a decent slide at the beginning of the week, and then we kind of traded sideways. I believe it was Wednesday into Thursday, up a little bit overall, and then Friday we had a pretty good up day, and now we're starting off pretty green across the board. When we take a look, the Nasdaq's up a little over 0.8%. Even the S&P 500 is as well, and the Dow Jones is actually the outperformer at the moment. It was briefly up about 1% at one point. I believe it was up like 0.95 or something. Currently also up just a little over 0.8%, but the outperformer slightly at the moment. A lot of this is because of crude oil. Some people say it's not, but the fact that oil is now up over that $30 threshold and testing $31 is a great sign. Not for those of us that drive a lot for a living and have to pay the gas, but either way, gas is still pretty cheap. But oil overall is on the move, up over 4.5% at the moment, and thus the markets are slightly higher at the moment. But I know we haven't done a stream since like Tuesday or Wednesday, so I will go ahead and give you guys just an overall account update. As you can see, we have everything pulled up there at the top. We still have 2-day trades available. I think the third one will become available either, I think, Tuesday or Wednesday. I don't remember. It might even be tomorrow, but I think it's Tuesday if I recall. But I'll keep you guys updated, of course, in our Discord group chat, which, by the way, if you're not in there, it's totally free, of course. We don't charge for anything associated with this channel, but the link for that's down in the description. We have over 170 of you in there now, so it's awesome to see you all continue to dive in there. I know we got almost 1,000 of us here now on the channel, and we've only got about 200 of you total in that Discord group chat, so that's only about 1 in 5 of you. We'd love to have more of you in there, so definitely if you have any type of smartphone or even a laptop, we'd love to have you in there and chatting it up with us and throwing a bunch of trading ideas off one another. We don't give shout outs or anything like that. I do keep you guys super updated. Those of you that are in there know that I pretty much update within a couple minutes usually of a trade, but I never do it like the exact moment because I don't want anybody copying my trades. I don't want you guys copying anybody else's trades in there. You definitely need to learn to do this stuff for yourself, and then not to mention, we don't want any bad blood in the group because you followed somebody and then you ended up losing money and it just becomes a mess. So but we'd love to have you in there for sure. But just an overall update on the portfolio. So now year to date, we are up $452.37. Of course, we started out with $1,500. So if you just do the math, we paid a little over like $2, roughly $2-3 in commissions. Year to date so far. And if we look at it from a percentage standpoint, because you guys have been with the channel for a little bit now, know that I stress so much that it's not about the dollar amount, it's the percentage. I was actually explaining this to my fiance over the weekend about if my account was X size, that percent would have turned into X amount of dollars. So if we just take a look, profit loss year to date of 452. We'll just do the bring home, quote unquote, 450. divided by your initial investment of $1,500, which of course we don't throw that in every single trade. My average trade is between $500 to $1,000 at the max. But either way, up pretty much flat on 30% at the moment, and we've done that over the last, how long have we been with TD Ameritrade now? Like 6 going on 7 weeks. It was a Thursday. I remember when we had all the money transferred over. So I think we'll be going on 7 weeks on Thursday of this week. So for now, 6 weeks. That is 5% a week. So, I mean, we're on a pretty good roll right now. You guys know, again, I've been following for a while. I don't even try to tell you guys you're going to get this every single week. I mean, just do the math. If you did that over a 52-week period, not including compounding interest, you're looking at 260% return. I'm not telling you guys to expect that at all. And again, that doesn't include the compound effect at all. You're looking at a much higher rate of return than just 260%. But like I said, we're on a roll right now, up 5% a week on average. Some weeks we've actually been down slightly. Some weeks we've been up 10, 15%. But on average, we're right around 5%. Over the last 6-7 weeks, roughly. Like I said, 7 weeks will be this Thursday. So definitely on a roll. If you guys want to know what the realistic expectation is, it is 1%. My goal is just 1% a week, which is still a hefty goal. If you do 1% a week, again, not including compounding interest, you're looking at a return of 52%. And that doesn't include any potential dividends you might catch. It doesn't include, again, just the compound effect, anything like that. If I can maintain just 1% a week, I'm very happy for sure. A lot of times, actually, when I go up like 5 to 10%, I tend to get a little bit more conservative, especially if it's like Thursday or late, like Thursday, Friday. I'm super conservative if I'm up a decent amount because I don't want to like risk the profits for the week or anything like that. But I do look for setups, of course. Going into next week. So if we just look at the total account right now, all we're holding is a small position in TQQQQ, very bumbly ticker to say over and over. 7 shares of that. We did have 17 shares at an average price of like 68. I want to say 68.40, something like that, between like 68.30 and 68.50, roughly somewhere in there. After selling for a good chunk of profit at $73 a share, our average price is now just above 68 on the remaining 7 shares. I want to be able to show you guys. I forgot how I did that before. Account statement. Yeah, there we go. So we will do... Yeah, that's fine. We'll just go with the last few days, essentially like the last trading week, roughly. Let me make sure we're doing okay still on our stream. We got 2 of you tuning in so far, and it looks like we're good to go. I know there wasn't nobody in here a little bit ago. I was just mentioning if there's ever any streaming issues or anything, audio, video quality, anything like that, let me know in the chat, please, for sure. And of course, if you guys have any questions, any ticker symbols, anything like that, that is the whole point of this Sunday stock talk that we do every Sunday. So definitely feel free to shout it out there in the chat. But back to just kind of the trades on the week. So let's see. So we were holding some SQQQQ, and we were actually hedging it with TQQQQ, of course. And then we ended up selling out of all the SQQQQ for a pretty small profit, actually. I forget the exact profit, but it was only like, man, I forget to an exact dollar amount, but I want to say less than $30 a profit for sure. It was a pretty small profit. My short, if that's what you want to call it, positions don't really tend to make my huge money. I tend to make the most money on the long side just because I'm a lot more inclined to go long the market than I am short the market, just because obviously over a long period of time, the market always goes up, of course. And then obviously on the 13th, we started just slowly buying into more TQQQQ, as you can see. And then we bought the dip. When was it? So we actually averaged up, which I do not do very often. We averaged up on the 13th. Wasn't the best timing in hindsight. I didn't know that first thing, like overnight, we were going to flip to the downside, which is what we did. So you can see here we averaged down a little bit throughout the 14th because when we go and take a look back at, even though the charts are going to be the same, when we take a look back at TQQQQ, 30-minute chart was what we were looking at the most on that specific day. When was it? The 14th. So right around here was when we started buying it. So we bought a little bit, of course, on the 13th, wasn't it? Yeah, we started buying more of it on the 13th. And then on the 14th was when we had that like reversal overnight. I'm trying to like recall from memory, so forgive me on going back and forth. So yeah, on the 14th we kind of had a little double top here and we slid down. Saw a bunch of indicators were screaming oversold. I believe it was like the 5-minute, 15-minute, 30-minute, and I believe even the 1 hour as well had flashed briefly. Yeah, we had barely touched oversold. It just barely. I don't even know if you guys can see that. I mean, it just barely touched oversold. And then what really did it for me was I could tell that we were building a pretty solid support right around that $67.20 to $67 level. And then when we also looked at the 4 hour, because I like to look at more than enough charts, essentially. Like I go through every single one. The ones I focus on the most are usually kind of quote unquote longer terms, like 30-minute to 4 hours, somewhere in that window. Usually 1 hour is the one we tend to use the most by far just to get started. And then for confirmation, we tend to bounce back and forth between like 15, 30-minute and then 4 hour and then the 1 day at the most. But when I was looking at that 4 hour chart, I was like, man, our MACD is looking, I wouldn't say primed, but I was like, we could definitely see a little bit of a run here. So that was why we averaged down on the 14th. If we go back there, you can see just after open, when we dumped down to below 67, I was like, this is completely overdone now. And that is when we hopped in. Again, just a couple more shares. We just slowly bought, and that is what I suggest the most for you guys, especially those of you that are newer. But even those of you that have been doing it a while, I mean, don't think that you're going to be right from the get-go. Like, you're pretty much flipping a coin at that point. Your potential profit on the trade is going to be much higher if you just kind of start out small. Not even in terms of shares. Like, the shares don't matter. It's the dollar amount of your account that's going to be taken up. Because, like, say 2 shares at, we'll call it $68 for easy numbers. $68 times 2, that would have been $136 roughly on at the time was like a, what was it, like a $1,800 portfolio, something like that. So you were looking at about 8, not quite 10, but somewhere around like 7 or 8% of the portfolio from the get-go. I knew I was going to go heavy on TQQQQ, again, just because the chart was just kind of, in my opinion, screaming that we're going to see some sort of rebound, which looks like is going to continue more than likely, unless if we get some crazy reversal again overnight, which I don't think is going to happen personally, especially how this next candle is looking to form. But anywho, back to the whole point. I just cannot stress enough. Just buy a little bit at a time, because more than likely your timing is not going to be 100%, especially when you're more of a swing trader than a day trader. You're just looking at setups for the next day or so, or even a week if you have to hold it that long. But ideally, obviously, we want to flip these on a 1 to 2 day basis at the most. And that's exactly what we did. So, like I said, you can see 7, 9, 11, 12, 14, and then we already had 15 and 17 shares total, because we started buying it on the 13th again. Because see, we sold on the 13th, we started going into SQQQQ, then we hedged it with a TQQQQ, and then we slowly started selling out of SQQQ, and that was when we just started rolling into TQQQQ. But again, look where we started. Started way back, again, just as a hedge at $70 a share. And then just slowly, you can see we just slowly averaged down. We averaged down not quite $1, but about $1. Averaged down Not quite $2, but about $2. I bought a little bit more because we were a little bit more bullish when we started looking at the charts. Then we dropped almost another dollar, averaged down a little bit more. Or no, actually, that was when we went up, and I got greedy, actually, on that position. But we saw a little dip and dip bought, essentially. And then we had that overnight reversal, and then that was when we started, again, loading up a little bit more with 5 shares in a period of an hour, hour and a half. And again, that made our average position size roughly like 68.30 to 68.50. I don't recall the exact price point, but somewhere in that range. And then again, you can see we sold 10 shares at $73, pretty much right at the close. And we left 7 shares as runners, so to speak, since, again, the average position is at $68. That definitely gives us some wiggle room. Like right now we're somewhere around like $72, $73. The Sunday night trading is kind of wacky with TQQQQ. But when we look at the NASDAQ, it is up 0.75%. So if the markets were to open up right now, TQQQ would be up roughly 2 to 2.25%, which from where it closed would be, let me see, 73 times 2.25 would be $1.64 plus. It would be roughly, it would open up roughly like 74.50, we'll call it. So multiply that times my 7 shares, you're talking about, I don't know, roughly like $10 to $15 that we would open up, which right now was a showing. Yeah, see, it's only showing that we're up like $3 so far. So the overnight, I don't really pay attention to like TQQQQ overnight on Sunday. It is much more accurate throughout the rest of the week. Don't get me wrong there, but Sunday night it only updates, I believe, like once every half hour. Don't quote me on that, but it doesn't update as often as Monday through Friday for whatever reason. I haven't really looked into it, but yeah. So we're looking at this point to open up another, we'll just call it $10 to the upside. That'd put us at like $19.60 overall. So that catches you guys up overall. It was a busy week for me in trading. I lost track of like where I started versus where I ended on the week. I want to say that I ended up somewhere around like $50 to $100 on the week, but it might have been more. But I know at the minimum is somewhere around like that $50 to $100 price range. So again, not a bad week. I'll take it for sure. Profits are profits at the end of the week, and just slowly, I cannot stress that enough, just slowly build that account. I mean, we're up 30% for Christ's sakes in the last just over a month and a half. I won't complain about that at all, for sure. So, but going back just to the broader markets, so again, we got the NASDAQ. It's kind of going flat since we hit that high of 91.79. When we take a look, do a little bit of technical analysis, since that was part of the title that I put. Let's take a look here. So I expect us to probably, maybe not today, but at some point, we might do this overnight, because that would only be about 35 points. Yeah, so I expect tonight we'll probably pull back at some point to around that 91. This is just ballpark, 91.20 to 91.30. So you're looking at about a 40-point pullback on the NASDAQ. Look for that to be kind of a potential support level before us continuing higher. But my price target on the NASDAQ this week is kind of conservative, in all honesty. I'm just shooting for 9,300, so you're talking about 130 points roughly from where we're at right now. So I'm not looking at like a huge exponential just straight up move to the upside. I think we're going to see a lot of resistance around that 92.75 to 9,300 level, just because that is where we really started to run out of steam before we sold off last week. And, I mean, we still have a lot of stuff going on, geopolitical BS, like China trade war stuff starting to flare back up. you had the Fed, you had Powell just speaking literally today. He was talking about this might take until, I forget what year he said, like 2021 or 2023, something ridiculous. Pretty much 1 to 2 years minimum before we would fully get the economy back, which me personally I think is a load of bullshit, but whatever. We'll see what happens. I mean, I wish I had a crystal ball like they did. They seem to think they know it all, but my point is there's a lot of stuff that's going to be kind of just news headline-y this week. So overall, I am bullish on the market going into this week. But like I said, I think 9,300 may be an area if we get up there this week where we get rejected and maybe pull back down. Again, we're just in this range, guys. Until something gives either horrible news, hopefully that doesn't happen, horrible news or great news. I think it's all kind of depending on, I don't think the market honestly gives a damn about the trade war stuff right now. The proof is in the pudding. If we just go back to Friday, I mean, we had a sell-off for about 2 to 3 hours once that headline came out about potential new trade war flare-up. But then we double bottomed beautifully, and then off to the races it was for the rest of Friday. So the market did not really give a damn about potential trade war flare-ups or anything, at least right now. I think, in all honesty, what's going to be driving the market over the next maybe 3 to 6 months is going to be, one, how does this reopening process look? How does it go? Do numbers start to spike? Do they continue to flatten? Like, just kind of what happens with the virus. I think the market overall is just really focused on what's going to happen next with the coronavirus. I think it could give two shits about geopolitical BS at the moment. I think it's mainly focused on what's going on with our Fed and what's going on with the coronavirus. Like, what is our reactions to the coronavirus and whatnot. That's just my 2 cents. You guys might think I'm wrong, but start your own YouTube channel, I guess. But like I said, I mean, we're just stuck in this range at the moment. I mean, the good news is we've made a higher low. Before, when we had the sell-off back at the beginning, end of April, early May, we came all the way down to like 85.50 roughly, and then obviously we just had that run for about 2 weeks of just pretty much nothing but straight up to the upside. Made a recent new high. So we made a higher high and we made a higher low. And I mean, that thing, they tried breaking that 88, what was it exactly? It was like 88.50. No, it was about 88.75. They tried breaking that 88.70 to 88.75 level over and over, like 1, 2, 3 different times. And then what really did it for me, what made me really bullish going into this week, was I saw, like, okay, we made a lower low. That's kind of, quote-unquote, scary, if you want to call it that. But then when we pulled back again on the trade war stuff, keep in mind, we made a higher low. And then we squeezed out a higher high compared to, I think it was overnight, wasn't it? Yeah, compared to that overnight high on Friday before we sold off briefly. We made a higher high. Now, we still need to take out this high of, what was it, like 91, pretty much 9,200. So definitely going to be a little bit of resistance around 9,200. Just your classic, every 100 points you have some sort of a resistance for whatever reason. I think it's more mental resistance than anything. But if we can take out that old high that we just barely hit, I think it was Wednesday. If we can take out that old high and stay above it, then I think 9,300 is definitely going to be the next stop for the NASDAQ. But we'll see what happens. Like I said, overall, as for tonight, I look for us at some point overnight tonight to pull back to about 91.30, 91.35 before taking another leg higher. So we'll see what happens. We might even briefly go red. That wouldn't be a surprise at all based on what's happened over the last few days. That could definitely happen, but I personally don't think it's going to, just based off of what I'm seeing at the moment. We got a lot of room to the upside before we hit our upper Bollinger Band. On the hourly chart, now our MACD is kind of indicating that, the buying's starting to weaken slightly. So yeah, I mean, And what a surprise, our 8 EMA is right around that 91.30 to 35 level right now. So we'll see what happens. And again, this is just looking at the 1 hour chart. I mean, we could look at the 30 minute. 30 minute, you have your 20 SMA that's around 91. So we could even pull back there, maybe. I don't think we're going to, but like I said, that's just kind of my own 2 cents on the market, which I know a lot of you guys trade the NASDAQ as well as the S&P 500. So if you're wondering what that means from an S&P 500 standpoint, you're probably looking at a pullback to around like that 28.50 to 55 level. So about 20 points or less, 15 to 20 points of a pullback. Or the next stop would probably be, pull up that 30-minute chart again. Yeah, even that's kind of lining up with 28.50. So yeah, I think, I mean, 28.50 would put us pretty much at unchanged, up only like 4 points on the S&P. So yeah, I think the lowest this probably goes to nice 28.50 as well. But again, that's just my own 2 cents. That's just me guessing what the overnight action's going to look like. On the flip side, what could also happen is Europe and China markets, which China should be opened already, if I recall. I forget the exact times. But when Europe specifically opens up overnight tonight, on the flip side, they could be catching up with our price action from Friday, and they could push us even higher. So we might see somewhat, like I said, of a little bit of a cool off. We might not even come all the way down to that 28.50 level. You may be looking at like 28.60, so about a 10-point pullback overall, or 11, whatever, 10, 11-point pullback. I just think it's going to pull back a little bit more. My gut's telling me more like 15-point pullback, 15 to 20. But we may see just a little bit of a pullback, and then Europe opens up, and then boom, we break out and make a new high. And if you're wondering kind of what is my target for the S&P 500, I would probably say somewhere around 29 to 29.10 is going to be the area to watch. And that's just for this week. You guys know I tend to be pretty conservative with my estimates. I mean, 29, that's only 30 points. I mean, we could get that tomorrow. Let's be real. 29 to 29.10, it's only 30 to 40 points. So I think if we can break through that, if we can break through 29.10 for sure, then the next stop would probably be 29.40, which I know a lot of bulls are probably keeping an eye on that 29.40 to 60 or 50 level. A lot of people are saying we're going to take out the old previous high, but first we got an eye on this high. This is what I'm looking at first. I'm not worried about this high. We barely touched that high. We had a double top pretty much right at 29.60. It's 65 technically, but I mean, we barely touched it. So we double topped there, and then we obviously fell down. I do think over the next couple weeks we'll probably take out this high, depending on what happens with the coronavirus again, since everything's starting to open back up. Thank God I can finally take myself back to the gym. I've just let go of myself recently, but thankful they're opening back up this week. But yeah, like I said, I'm not worried about this high right now. I'm worried about that recent high, which would, again, put us right around 91.40, and then the next stop would be your 91.60 to 75 area. But again, I keep it pretty conservative. You guys know Again, I mean, just look at the trades that I cover. I mean, they're usually 1%, 3%. We have a few good ones that are up like 10% plus. The irony of it is that my current position is up, $5? That'd be not quite 10%, but it's up pretty good. But this is actually a trade that's working out very, very well, I'll admit. And I will probably sell out of most of it tomorrow, depending on how high we go. And I'll keep you guys updated, of course, in our Discord group. But I mean, I'm just super conservative with my estimates. I mean, this chart looks, in my opinion, super bullish. I mean, we could easily go up to 2,900 tomorrow. That would be what, roughly for the day, like 54 points, a 54-point move. So, I mean, it's a decent move to the upside, don't get me wrong. But, I mean, we've had, just look at this turnaround right here. We were all the way down to 2760, and then by the end of the day, we were at almost 2860. So, that was almost 100 points in one trading session. So, I mean, we see stuff like, as volatile as this market's been, we've been seeing moves like that almost daily, it seems, in all honesty. So, again, that's just kind of my 2 cents on the market. I haven't checked our stream quality in a while. Hopefully everything's been doing all right. Like I said, guys, if you have any questions, any stocks, now's the time. Definitely shoot it out there in the chat. That's what it's pulled up for. I definitely want to. That's what this channel really is all about. I like just getting on here communicating with a whole bunch of different traders. I don't care if you're brand new and just think you might have the dumbest question ever. I mean, there's only a couple of us here right now, it looks like anyway, so no question's a dumb question. Like I said, I don't care if you're brand new. I had those same, what you think are dumb questions when I was first starting. I'm not going to pretend that I have all the answers. I'm never going to tell you guys what to trade, how to trade it, where to get in, where to get out. The whole point of this channel is just to kind of show you guys my thoughts, like my point of view when it comes to trading, how I approach the market, how I approach my trades, what I learned from each trade, specifically the losers, because those are the trades you definitely want to learn from the most, of course, is the losers. At the end of the day, this game, it's all about just minimizing those losers, right? So, the one thing, though, that the bears will point to, those that are more bearish on the market, is that, hey, you made a lower low than you made back at the beginning of May, which I actually did not pay attention to that. However, we did not make a lower low than what we made back on the 21st or 21st of April. So as long as we stay above that low, which I think we will, I think we'll be fine. Like I said, though, we're just kind of stuck in this trading range from an S&P standpoint. Pretty much anything below 2,800, go long. Anything above, I would say 29, 25, you probably want to start getting a little bit more bearish from a net. And again, that's just because we're trading sideways right now. And if you're wondering, well, why are we trading like this? Again, in my opinion, it's because we're just waiting to see what the hell is going to go on next with the coronavirus and what is our god-awful government going to do to come to the rescue, so to speak. But from a NASDAQ standpoint, it's still, even though it's kind of sideways, it's still a little bit more bullish than the markets. I've been saying this for a while now, that you're going to see the NASDAQ, for the most part, outperform the Dow and the S&P, because the NASDAQ is more geared towards a stay-at-home economy versus the Dow, which is very heavy on traveling, like travel industry. Has a little bit of tech. Obviously, you got Apple in there and whatnot, but overall, it's very heavy on industrials. Of course, that's Dow Jones Industrial Average, but and even the S&P 500, even though it has quite a few tech companies in there, I mean, it's a lot of companies. There's a lot of other companies that are just getting absolutely slaughtered right now. Where the NASDAQ, I mean, it's really geared towards like your Amazons, your Apples, your Microsofts. Like, it's very, very heavy tech, which tech is going to do well. They might take a small hit, but over a longer period of time that this goes on, tech is very much so going to outperform the industrials and everything else, which is why you've seen such a strong bounce back. What is the NASDAQ up at the moment? Like, not quite 3,000, but at one point it was pushing about 3,000, but right now up like 2,500 and some change from the high. Let's just do the math. Let's not play the guessing game. So right now, let's just say we're up at 91.85, which we just hit, minus our low of 66.2875. So yeah, we're up over 2,500 points from the low, which the low again was 66.28.75. So we're up over 38, and that's just at this moment. That doesn't factor in when we were up another 200 points from where we're at right now, just about a week or two ago. At that point, this thing was up like, what, around 45% off of the low. But either way, 38 to 40% off of the low at this very moment. Now, if we go take a look at the Dow Jones, it's going to be close, but it's not going to be nearly as much. So right now we're around, what are we at? 23.7. We'll call it 60. 23.760 minus our low of 18,086. So we're about 5,000 to 6,000 points off of the low. Not bad still. But divided by that low, 18,086, is 31%. So again, still not bad. I mean, the markets overall have bounced back tremendously from where we were at the low, which for whatever reason you're seeing a lot of talking heads saying that we could retest lows. I think they're smoking crack personally. I don't know where the hell they're getting we're going to retest lows. I think the worst on the Dow you're probably looking at is maybe 20K on the downside, but whatever. I don't try to play that guessing game. I'll go with the 100-year track record of the market that shows no matter what happens, don't ever bet against America. But the difference, though, back to the main point, is the NASDAQ, just from this current moment where we're at right now, the NASDAQ is up like 7% more than the Dow Jones. And ES is going to be, again, pretty similar. We'll do the math, though. Looks like the market's taking another leg higher here. But where are we at right now? 28. We'll say 28.75, just for easy numbers, because we will definitely hit that tonight. 28.75 minus the low of 21.74. 701 points off of the low divided by 21.74. It's up 32. So again, like expected, Dow Jones is the worst performer, not by much. I mean, you're talking about 1% roughly on the S&P, that the S&P is outperforming the Dow, so not enough really worth mentioning. But the Dow is still the worst performer. And again, the NASDAQ is still beating the S&P by like 5 to 6%. Actually, I think it is 6%, just over 6% actually. So, like I expected, I expect this to continue, in all honesty, because I think worst case scenario is we have to do this social distancing and all that BS for another 6-7 months, and I think that is really going, if that happens, I hope it doesn't. God, I hate this shit so much, and I'm sure most of you do too, but if that were to happen, I think you're going to see the S&P and Dow probably stay around where they are right now, maybe even drop a little bit more. S&P you're probably looking at right around 2,600 on the downside, and again for the Dow I said around 20K, maybe 21. I think that's being generous, given like where the Dow is at right now. S&P as well. I mean, I'm only talking 200 to 300 points to the downside. I don't know why I did ES. For Dow, you're talking maybe a 4,000 point drop at the most from where we're at right now, closer to 3. So I think I'm being generous. Where with the NASDAQ, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying by any means I think the NASDAQ is just going to keep going up if everything else goes down. You're probably going to see the NASDAQ drop as well. But honestly, I don't see the NASDAQ going below probably 8,500. I mean, that's, what, about a 600 point, we'll call it 700 point decline based on where are we at right now. We'll just call it 9,200. Oops. 700 divided by 9,200. What would that be from a drop? So that'd still be about a 78% drop. So, yeah, I could definitely see that happening. Worst case scenario. How's it going, Zach? DKNG. Is that a stock? Let me see. Oh, DraftKings. Yeah, I don't understand, honestly, why this thing... I mean, I know it just started trading this year, of course, but I don't understand, in all honesty, why it is up so much. I mean, jeez. Honestly, like me, no, I'm not going to buy any of this garbage, in all honesty. I mean, it won't be garbage in the long run. Honestly, this will probably be a pretty decent stock in the long term. But at $30, no way. I wouldn't touch it. If you can get it back under 20, I think it's a good buy. I don't understand why it's up so much right now. There's not a lot really going on where the stock can really make money at the moment. But I think if things can kind of get back to normal, if it looks like we're going to have a football season and whatnot, then I would definitely look at. This is kind of a news touchy stock, which, by the way, we are riding right along that upper Bollinger Band. So yeah, I expect this thing to pull back down probably to a bare minimum of $26. Me personally, a stock like this, I want it at $20. So you're talking almost a 30% drop on this stock before I would even touch it. I mean, geez, man, it's loss. I mean, obviously it's brand new to trading and whatnot, so, and it's a tech company, so losses are expected. But nah, it's not. I haven't played DraftKings, I haven't played Uber, I haven't played Lyft. I'm kind of a boomer when it comes to what I buy. I just, for me personally, I just stick with what works. I will do individual stocks from time to time, but for me personally, I stick with the indices because you can make a lot of money, I wouldn't say money, but a lot of percentage rate of return. Again, money refers to how much you have in your account, which a lot of people are starting with, in most cases, less than 10 grand, so you can't expect a whole lot of return. But when you have stocks like your TQQQ, your UDOW, your what was the other one for S&P 500? SPXL. When you have those stocks, or ETFs, I should say, that just move 3 times whatever the market moves, they're just a lot more safer for traders like me who don't necessarily have the time to sit there and watch my stocks minute by minute. I have a super busy life outside of trading at the moment. Hopefully in the next couple years that'll change and I'll be doing this full time. But at the moment, I don't have a lot of time to sit there and kind of baby my stocks. And a stock like DraftKings, man, like I would be nervous about that stock, especially where it's at right now. What's the news on it anyways? Huge growth area. Let's see. Oh, that was recently. Just tonight. I always like to get a look at headlines. Let's see. Maintains a buy, raises price. So they had a price target raise. So that's probably why it went up on Friday. Oops. No, stop going down. Stop going down. Let's see. Doesn't see a long-term COVID-19. That's funny. Let's see. Yeah, that's what they all say until the earnings show otherwise. Let's see. I want to know, did DraftKings put a, what do you call it? Did they forecast earnings for next quarter, or did they pull their forecasting? Because if they're so confident that they don't see a long-term effect based on the coronavirus, then I expect them to give guidance. I don't see anything about guidance. DraftKings post weaker than expected first quarter earnings. Yeah, no, I'm not buying that bullshit. They are definitely going to be affected by the coronavirus. Their disappointing first quarter results say it all. I look at the numbers. I don't look at the headlines. This thing's going up because they had some random upgrade by a company that I've never even heard of. Canaccord. I haven't even heard of them personally. I don't keep up with these companies that do the downgrades, upgrades, all that stuff, but I've never heard of this company before. But they got one random upgrade, and they have a CEO that apparently talks a big game. So, me personally, though, I look at the numbers. They posted disappointing earnings. I'm not buying the BS that coronavirus is somehow not going to affect their business. Like I said, I do think most, probably 70% of tech is going to actually benefit from this type of stay-at-home, but DraftKings is not one of them. DraftKings is based on, I mean, for the most part, last time I checked, sports. And a lot, I don't know if DraftKings has noticed, not very many sports, if any, outside of NASCAR, and it looks like maybe golf might be starting up soon. There's no sports going on, so I don't understand where they're getting that. But needless to say, I'm selling this. I would not be buying it right now. But again, that's just me personally. If you see value in that stock, then like I said, I think long term is probably a good buy. I mean, this long term, like 5 years from now, you're probably looking at 50, maybe even upwards of $100, depending on just how the economy and everything goes the next 5 years. But if we see a strong bounce back in the next year or even two, then I think in the next 5 years you could see this easily at $50 a share, maybe even more. Like I said, 50 to 100 is definitely possible with how tech stocks tend to move. But I don't know. I don't like buying anything that is that volatile, and I'm not buying what's going on right now with the company. So right now I'm not a buyer, but like I said, if this can go below 20 or at least close to 20, like 20, $22, then maybe it becomes a little bit more attractive. Matter of fact, I want to keep up with it just so when it does fall, I can take a look at it and maybe even get a play on it. I'll probably set alert at 24. Alright, so I got my alert set at $24. We'll see if it gets hit at some point over the next few months. I'm banking that it does. But like I said, yeah, Zach, like I said, if you like this long term, go for it. As for a trade or a swing trade or something like that, I don't like it up here. I'm just being honest with you. I don't like it up here. How it's not overbought on the indicator side is beyond me. Briefly hit overbought. Yeah, me personally, I don't like this stock right now, at least. But definitely keep us updated. I don't know if you're in our Discord group chat, but link for that, of course, is down in the description below. But keep us updated on if you trade that or where you're in it at or anything like that. And hopefully our stream is still doing all right. But yeah, I mean, that is pretty much it. If we don't have any more questions, it looks like we dropped only one of you watching. I know it's Sunday night and everybody's getting ready for work in the morning and whatnot. So if that's it for all the questions and everything like that, then I will go ahead and just wrap the stream up. Like I said, just a quick little overview again. Last week was a pretty good week. We're now up over the last 6 to 7 weeks now, $453. Year to date, again, for those of you that are tuning in for maybe your first time, we were using Tastyworks as our main trading platform, and about 6-7 weeks ago, we transferred all of our money over to TD Ameritrade. Since we've done that, we're now at $453, which again is like right at 30% that we're up so far. Pretty much 5% a week is what we've been doing. So been on a pretty good run lately. Hopefully we can keep it that way going into this week and beyond. Hopefully we can break the $2,000 level this week is the goal, which that is my goal in all honesty. I'm honestly not worried about dollar amounts too often. You guys know I'm all about percentages, but I would definitely like to break 2,000 this week. That would only be 40, we'll call it 50 since that's about where we're at. $50 profit divided by my $1,950 account. You're talking 2 to 2.5%. So it is, I wouldn't say it's like a super hefty goal. You guys know my main goal is just to average 1% a week throughout the year. But my goal is pretty much to do around 2.5% this week. Kind of a hefty goal, but like I said, we've been doing like 5% average. So I'm shooting for half of what I've been doing the last 6 to 7 weeks now. So I think it's attainable. I'll keep you guys updated for sure. Hopefully we can just make a couple good trades this week, or maybe even just one slam dunk, and just get that profit out of the way for the week. So yeah, my profit target from a dollar standpoint is $50. I've been going over my target the last few weeks, obviously, but that is the main goal for me this week personally. And of course, I will keep you guys updated. Like I said, we do these streams every Sunday, and then we tend to do at least at the minimum one stream throughout the week, kind of as a middle of the week update. Just take a look at the broader markets. I give you guys just kind of my 2 cents on where I think the market's going to go the rest of the week, and answer your questions and everything like that. And then if we have time during the week, I try to do a second video where we do more of kind of a learning, educational type of video for those newer traders, that I just want to be able to teach the newer traders everything that like I messed up on, from options to penny stocks. I don't even touch penny stocks anymore, but just indicators, just from setting up your platform, just all that stuff that I wish I knew from the get-go. Would make my life as a trader much easier. And then of course all the mistakes to avoid, because that is what most people try to avoid on YouTube, but I do not. I want you guys to learn from my mistakes and avoid risking hundreds if not thousands of dollars of your hard-earned money. But like I said, if you're new to the channel, we'd love to have you here for those future streams. Definitely hit the subscribe button below. Hit that bell icon right beside it. That way you'll be notified every time we go live or upload another video. And like I said, we have that Discord group chat that is down in the description box, which is super easy to join. What I would suggest you do is download it on your smartphone or laptop first. Create your account, all that stuff takes like 2 minutes, and then hit the link down below and it'll take you right to our group. Like I said, we're coming up on like 200, like 180 roughly members in there, and again, that's totally free. I don't charge for anything associated with this channel and never will. It's just an awesome group that we got going on there to bounce ideas off one another at the end of the day. But hopefully you guys did enjoy the stream. If you did, hit that thumbs up button. I greatly appreciate that. If you didn't, hit the thumbs down. Either way, I just like getting that interaction from you guys to get a good feel on what you like and don't like. But until next time, guys, keep on going out there making your profits, covering your profits, and achieving your financial freedom this year. And I will see you guys in the next stream here in a couple days. But until then,